Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just dive right in, because today we are heading straight into what I like to call the ultimate literary crime scene, unseen poetry. Now, if you're prepping for exams like the WAEC, Literature and English, or honestly, if you just want to be a sharper, more perceptive reader, staring down an unseen poem can feel pretty intimidating, right? But today, we're going to flip the script. We are treating this like a giant puzzle, and you are the lead detective. See, figuring out the tone of a poem, it's a lot like profiling a suspect in the first 10 seconds of meeting them. We're going to use our time today to build up your investigation toolkit so you can decode literally any poem that gets thrown your way.
So, here's the million-dollar question. You flip the page of your exam booklet, or you just open a book at random, and bam, you are staring at a completely unfamiliar text. How on earth do you decode it? How do you uncover those hidden motives and meanings when you've literally never seen the poem before? I mean, what is the poet actually trying to say to us? It might feel like a total guessing game at first glance, but I promise you, it absolutely is not. The clues? They are right there on the page, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to piece them together.
Let's grab our detective's notepad. Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll cover the power of word choice, emotional atmospheres, attitude and intent, hidden subtext, sorting the evidence, and finally, decoding unseen poetry.
Part 1. The power of word choice.
All right, stepping onto the crime scene, our absolute best piece of evidence is diction. Diction is just a fancy way of saying the specific word choice an author uses to establish the tone, which is basically the sound of the attitude expressed by the speaker. And look, diction is not just about a poet showing off some massive vocabulary, not at all. It is the direct bridge to understanding the exact feelings the writer wants to hit you with. The relationship here is super direct. Whatever feeling or attitude a writer wants to convey, they express it entirely through the specific words and details they handpick.
And this right here is exactly why this matters so much for exams like the WAEC, the WAEC, Literature and English exam. It tests your raw, unfiltered literary appreciation skills. The examiners aren't just checking if you memorized the study guide. They want to see your analytical chops in real time. Literally, every single word in an unseen extract is a deliberate, intentional clue placed there by the author. You really can't ignore any part of the text, because every word is carrying its own weight and helping to build the overall meaning.
Section 2. Emotional atmospheres. Think of specific words as the building blocks for the room we walk into when we start reading. The overall sound of a poem, whether it's super sad, fiercely argumentative, sarcastic, or incredibly peaceful, it all depends on this diction. Just look at this comparison. On one side, we have phrases like gentle bobbing and unhurrying. When you read those, you instantly get this visual image that builds a calm, peaceful vibe, kind of like a lazy afternoon fishing. But then look at the other side. A writer drops a heavy word like doom and boom. It instantly signals a tone of disapproval or impending anger. Or what if the poet writes boom, boom, boom? That's automatopoeia, mimicking the explosive, chaotic sounds of warfare. Just 3 words, and suddenly we're in a dangerous, anxious, and trapped atmosphere. Wild, right?
Moving into Section 3. Attitude and intent.
Now that we're in the room, let's figure out the suspect's motive. Words let a poet imply a whole attitude without ever stating it outright. It's all about the category of words they choose, formal, colloquial, complex, that sets the level of formality and makes a poem feel nostalgic, descriptive, or maybe really respectful. Check out these examples. The word planting. Normally, you'd think of a nice simple act of gardening, right? But depending on the context, analyzing that diction might reveal it actually suggests the tone of forceful imposition. Or take the word inhumane. If a writer describes a process as inhumane, they are definitely not just making a neutral observation. That formal, heavy word signals a clear condemnation. They are judging the subject, and honestly, they're trying to get you to judge it too.
Section 4. Hidden subtext. Here's the thing. Poets rarely just hand you the meaning on a silver platter. They love using complex syntax, hiding their true tone right underneath the literal words. So how do we dig it up? I want you to try this technique. You have to actually hear the language in your head. Because of that tricky syntax, you need to physically pause and internally sound the words out. This little trick is a game changer. It helps you pick up on those tiny nuances of diction to catch underlying tones, like cynicism or intense cheerfulness, that just aren't stated on the literal level.
Let's actually test out this internal ear technique on a classic piece of African poetry you might see in WAEC, Gabriel Okara's Once Upon a Time. The speaker is talking about people shaking hands and smiling. Sounds totally friendly on the surface, but Listen to the diction here. While their ice block cold eyes search behind my shadow. Oof. When you hear ice block cold eyes echoing in your head, that polite little handshake completely shatters, doesn't it? It reveals this deep underlying cynicism. The diction completely exposes a fake, hollow interaction. These people are smiling at him, but they're literally searching his empty pockets.
Let's try one more, from an actual unseen exam extract. The text reads, "You say you are free. Oh no, you are not. You are trapped, a prisoner in your own home." Now, the poet never comes out and says, "Hey, I'm a cynic and freedom is a lie." But by immediately hitting us with that refutation, "Oh no, you are not," and packing the lines with words like trapped and prisoner, they create this undeniable subtext of cynical skepticism. The words point to a much darker reality. We might be looking at a city under a military coup or civil war, where the only things that matter are food, water, and finding a place to hide.
Section 5. Sorting the evidence. Okay, so our notebook is full of clues. What's next? We need a way to categorize our evidence on the fly so we can instantly decode the speaker's emotional state. Try this diction sorting exercise. It's brilliant for training your brain. Look at how these words are grouped. Under angry, we see violent, aggressive diction. Savage, trample, venom. Under cynical, we get words dripping with disbelief and superficiality. Fake, hollow, puppet. And then under joyful, the words completely shift, becoming light and energetic. Radiant, bloom, leap. When you practice grouping words like this, you're literally training your eye to spot the overarching attitude of a text the literal second you start reading it.
And look, doing this kind of sorting isn't just a neat parlor trick. It's exactly how you tackle the absolute hardest exam questions. When you can categorize diction effortlessly, you naturally start identifying literary devices, like spotting that boom, boom, boom is onomatopoeia. It makes it so much easier to draw logical inferences about a speaker's feelings. Plus, it lets you deduce completely unstated facts. You might realize a poem is set in a literal war zone just because you group together diction like guns, trapped, and rebels.
Section 6. Decoding Unseen Poetry. We are at the finish line of our investigation. Let's pull all our clues together into a final, foolproof blueprint for cracking any unseen poetry case. Here are the actionable, masterclass strategies you absolutely need. Step 1. Read the poem at least twice. I mean it. Don't just rush to the questions. Absorb the general concept first. Step 2. Listen internally. Really hear that language in your head to feel out the tone and emotional atmosphere. And Step 3. Isolate the poetic devices and the powerful diction. Hunt down those strong verbs and adjectives, the venom, the doom, the gentle bobbing, and ask yourself, what attitude is this conveying? If you run this 3-step blueprint, I guarantee you'll tackle the WAEC Unseen Poetry section, or honestly any poem you ever come across, with total confidence.
And that brings us to my final thought for you. From this day forward, I want you to remember that every single word you read is a deliberate choice made by an author who is trying to shape how you feel. The clues really are everywhere. So I'll leave you with this. The very next time you read a text, a poem, or hey, even a news headline, are you going to let the author blindly pull your strings, or are you going to use your new detective skills to uncover what they are secretly trying to make you believe? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Get out there and happy sleuthing.